Hi there, it's Riikka Kovasin here with another video for A.B.Studio. This time I'm drawing inspiration from Halloween and making some haunted ATCs. Usually when I'm starting a project, I gather some supplies that might or might not go into the project. So in the beginning of the video you saw me skimming through different papers and embellishments that I lifted on the table that I might use in these cards. Most of the papers I gathered are from the Never Too Late collection. But let's get started. I'm first cutting some pieces out of the pattern papers to make the bases for the ATCs. I'm using this checkered version for the background. It's called Family Time, and cutting ATC size bits out of the paper, so 2.5 by 3.5 inches. Then I cut a slightly smaller piece out of Express Yourself, which is about 2.25 times 3.25 inch. These go on top of the checkered one. I then attach the layers using double-sided tape. When I have my bases ready, it's time to add some layers on top. I'm first adding some stamping to the cards using 2 A.B.Studio stamps. You can see all the supplies in the description box below. I'm using archival ink to stamp these because I'm then layering mediums on top and I don't want this ink to bleed. Just to make sure that this ink won't react with the next layer, I'm heat setting it because I'm adding embossing ink on top, and this archival ink might have a little bit drying time even on top of paper, and I really don't want this pattern to got any of the embossing powder, but instead the next one. So I use a heat tool in between. Then the actual resist pattern. For that I'm using a stencil and the watermark or embossing ink. I'm using a little sponge to add the pattern through the stencil. Then I cover the pattern using clear embossing powder. This creates the resist. I then heat the powder and repeat the process to all of the cards. Next up is kind of revealing the resist. I'm adding black watercolor on top, and as you can see, that reveals the embossing pattern underneath. You can see the stamped images and also the patterns of the paper through those embossed places, but otherwise the paper is turning just black. I'm adding a couple of layers of the watercolor on top of the cards to get a really vibrant solid black color. Then I add another dimensional layer to the cards. I'm using another A.B.Studio stencil with modeling paste and add a little bit of crosses here and there. After that, I'm letting the cards air dry and not using heat tool just because I don't want to remelt the embossing powder. While waiting the cards to air dry, I also added embossing powder to the chipboard embellishments. This time I only used black embossing powder. Now it's time to put the cards together. I'm first adhering the little window frames, embossed window frames, to the cards, and then add some sewing thread on top with the cut out vintage photo being the focal point. I'm using foam tape to adhere the photo so there's a little bit of dimension added to the cards. As a last detail in this stage, I'm then adding a token with some twine around each card. I'm tying the token to the twine and then just going around and around the card and then add a little knot. After that, the cards were lacking a little something, but luckily one of the papers in the collection hold an answer, and I cut out these little olive branches out of Family Time. Those are just the little detail the cards needed. As a finishing touch, to make those tokens a little bit more readable, I'm then adding white gesso on top of each and then wiping the excess off, so the gesso is only left in the grooves, thus making the letters more visible. So there you have it, 3 Halloween inspired ATCs. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you like the resist technique, because you can add layers underneath, not just kind of the first layer being the resist, but there can be something hidden underneath. And well, I hope you liked the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing. I'm seeing you again next month. Thank you. Bye.